Okay, I have some thoughts for this video that I need to talk over because they're important points that I've thought through, and I'm like, okay, I want to tell you guys these. We're gonna just start with an intro, and then we're gonna roll into those points. If you follow, you follow. We're talking Champions League. We're talking Real Madrid versus Arsenal. We're talking Inter versus Bayern Munich. Now, before we go anywhere, we got a spoiler right. We said 2-2 in the Inter Bayern Munich game, and it was 2-2. So yay, great for me, right? We got a score prediction correct. We're going to be mainly talking about this Real Madrid Arsenal game. I have so many things I want to talk about. So let's just get right into it. Arsenal go to Spain today and they beat Real Madrid 2-1. You heard me. And they were already up 3 goals. Okay? This Arsenal team just ran all over this Real Madrid team. So I want to say to everybody who's watching this channel, you're an Arsenal fan, get in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling. Now, me personally, you guys know, I always say this. I find some of the Arsenal fans really annoying, right? I hear you. And I think that is going for every single fan base, right? I don't think it's just Arsenal. Maybe I just see it more. Look, nothing but respect to the team because they went out there today again and they were just better. Like they were just better. They just dogged Real Madrid, okay? They deserve to be going through, and I am legitimately taking Arsenal as a serious chance to get to the final. I'm telling you right now, yes, they're playing PSG. This Arsenal team, if they can remain with the discipline that they just had over these 2 legs, is going to be very hard to beat. Okay, we were going through the data. Look, we made the prediction. We said Real Madrid 2-1 tonight. We said Arsenal's going through because I told you guys, Arsenal are not going to concede 3 goals. In what world are Arsenal conceding 3 goals? And this is the only 1% lottery world where you go to Real Madrid and you got they close the roof and it's chaos before the game and maybe you overthink it a little bit. I mean, look, for me, the only player on Arsenal tonight that was overthinking it was Odegaard. Because Odegaard in the first half, it's crazy he wears that captain's band because whenever I watch him this season, he doesn't really do much. And he didn't complete a 6-yard pass because he looked like he was shitting his pants the whole first half. Aside from that, Saka misses his penalty. Okay, he tries to be a little too cheeky. It was a bad miss. They played a perfect first half. They executed the game plan to absolute perfection. I think at halftime, Madrid had created point 0.1 XG. I don't even know where that came from because when I was watching the game, I sat there and I said, man, these guys cannot deal with this Arsenal defense. They looked like they were a third division England team. That's what Arsenal made Real Madrid look like tonight. So maybe we'll have to question some of the defense in La Liga because Real Madrid does get a few chances in La Liga and they still look shit. Now they play a really organized defensive team and boy do they look shit across 180 minutes. I gotta say, this project for me at the end of the day, if you're a Real Madrid fan, maybe you think I'm just yapping. I think it's a failure. I think you guys need to hit the panic button soon rather than later. Maybe you give it another chance for another season, but this whole Vinny, Mbappe, Rodrigo, it's just not working. It's giving me like the Messi, the Neymar, the Mbappe vibes. I don't know. I've been seeing tweets about, you guys know me personally. I think Mbappe's the best player in the world, but I've been seeing tweets, PSG's better now without Mbappe. Real Madrid is worse with Mbappe. I don't know. Maybe these are conversations that we need to start having about Mbappe. I don't know. Me personally, it just looks like Mbappe and Vinny are not on the same page. It looks like, man, you look at the run of Real Madrid last season with Toni Kroos and their Champions League run, they were going through Toni Kroos every time. I literally said, look, Toni Kroos play. He's going to go and receive, drop off on an angle, diagonal, perfect pass weighted, winger runs onto it, they get a goal. That was Real Madrid's offense last season entirely, every play. It was not any football magic. That's what they did, and they just ran harder. This season, they look like they're tired. They don't really look like they give a shit. Their defense is really weak, and I'll tell you, if this was not for Courtois in this 2-leg matchup, Arsenal would have scored 8 to 10 goals. Courtois kept them in this many times in the first leg. He had a couple saves that I said, look, this could have been 5 or 6. It was 3. It gave Madrid a chance. And what have Madrid been doing all season, these players? Talk, talk, talk. It must be so frustrating as a Madrid fan this season to watch this team, all right? Because you basically went out there, you brought in Mbappe, you have this star-studded squad. You got Jude the season before, who, let's be honest, say what you want about Jude, he's already proved himself. I don't need to hear anything about Jude in the Madrid shirt because Jude went out in his first season here and they won the Champions League, okay? Say what you want about Vinny Jr. Look, me personally, maybe that's something they should be looking into. I don't know what you guys think as Madrid fans. Is it time to move on? Is it too early? You think, okay, is Vinny or Mbappe better? Well, I think Mbappe's better. Maybe you think Vinny's better. I think most of you would say Mbappe's better. Something's not working with this attack. It's just not working. There's no way in hell, yes, Arsenal are probably the best defensive team in the world, that attack together should be doing what they just did in 180 minutes. It's shameful. It's not appropriate. So if I'm a Madrid fan, I'm looking at this saying, wow, we got to look forward to next season and start having some real conversations with this team because I just don't know where it's going to suddenly click. They don't look like they got it together, and sometimes that happens on teams. We could give you so many examples of teams that put together 2, 3, 4 superstars, and it just didn't work. It happens. It's a part of the game. The best team wins, not the best individual players win. Let's say that out loud. Because if you look at these two squads next to each other, come on, man. Come on, man. They have, Real Madrid have crazy players. It's a star-studded squad. And for me, it's one of the worst Real Madrid teams I have seen in terms of the flow of how they play. Now, before we go anywhere in this, the referee tonight better be ashamed of himself, regardless of the outcome of this match, which, look, the way it went was probably the way it was deserving to go. Real Madrid shouldn't have had a goal tonight. To be honest, they did not even deserve it. Saliba just had some mental error. And, Arsenal, actually, they impressed me at times in the second half because they did very well. Yes, they had a sequence in the 80 to 90 where they just sat in the box, but they defended very organized. They got stuck a couple times where they couldn't get out. And then there was a period for like 20 minutes that in the second half, they really stringed together some nice plays and they were trying to build out the back and they were doing well. They gave Real Madrid the ball tonight. The whole world knew that's what they were going to do. And as we said, look, no one is scoring 3 or more goals against Arsenal in 2 years. It's not going to happen because this team doesn't have the juice. If they were playing PSG, if they were playing Barca, maybe there's a chance that those teams could do that. And even then, it would be in question against this Arsenal defense because this team is legit. They're organized. Look, the negatives for Arsenal, yeah, in the first half, really it was just the fact that Odegaard wasn't passing the ball to any measure of, it looked like he was just nervous. Honestly, it looked like he was just nervous. He was the only Arsenal player that really looked nervous in the first half. At this point, from what I have seen from Arsenal recently, I think Declan Rice should be the captain. This dude is unreal. He's been worth every penny. He had a monster game tonight again. It wasn't one of those ones where he padded up the stat sheet. Monster game. I'm watching this guy's intelligence on the pitch, the way he's reading the game defensively. Holy, man, what a player. Honestly, what a player. Saka, obviously missed that penalty in the first half, redeemed himself with an absolute sublime finish. The finish from Saka was unbelievable. Marino picks up 2 assists tonight. It makes you wonder, this guy is doing pretty well for them in the position they've thrown him in. And look, at the end of the day, for Madrid, there's no excuses for this game. Okay, Arsenal is playing with Marino at the 9. That's not who they signed up to play, to start the season with. Saka is just coming back into form. Obviously, Arsenal fans would have loved to have Saka in peak form heading into this. Gabriel, Gabriel has been a very large contributor of Arsenal this season. He's out as well. So, look, I don't want to hear anything, I don't want to hear anything about, players not available, fullbacks out for Madrid. The fact of the matter is, bro, it's not good enough from this team. I feel like I've seen enough from this team this season to say I just don't think they're going to win La Liga because they play every game so close. I see them dropping more points. And to be honest with you, unless Barca plays the game they just played against Dortmund, which I've seen them play 2 of those games this season, I don't know if they're going to beat Barcelona. So I look at this season and say, wow, this could be a massive failure for Real Madrid. It was just a horrible night for them. They just looked terrible. I don't even know where Real Madrid is going to go from here. I don't know if we said this in the video, but again, Courtois is the reason that this wasn't a 7 to 8 goal margin because this game, look at the stats. I don't know what the stats are going to tell you about the match tonight. I really don't. Arsenal with 2xG obviously had a penalty. Madrid with 1.5. Look, Madrid didn't really create anything. They had the chance with Endrick. The goal they had, the XG is so high because Vinny wins the ball in press off the Saliba mistake, which was one of the really 2 massive mistakes on the night with Saka where they missed the penalty. But, man, Arsenal they knew the moment, and this is one of the most impressive wins in Arsenal's history of the club. Regardless of the Madrid level this season, to go to Spain to do this type of thing and even win the second leg when you had a 3-goal advantage, look, you have my respect. You should have everyone's respect at this point. This is a very impressive win. If you're an Arsenal fan, you have made it to the last 4 teams in the Champions League. And look, I'm looking at these matchups. Arsenal, PSG. I think PSG, I'm going to be saying this for real. I think they were more looking forward to playing Real Madrid than Arsenal. I think that's going to be a very tough match for them. Arsenal had already played. Let's pull up the Champions League real quick. So Arsenal had already played. I got to pull this up. Hold on a sec. So Real Madrid knockout. I'm pretty sure Arsenal and PSG had already played, and Arsenal, did Arsenal not play PSG already this season? I thought Arsenal and PSG played in the rounds of the. Did they not play? They did. Arsenal beat PSG 2-0 back in October. I say this, though. This was a different PSG team, but they have already played this season. So that's making to be a really interesting, setup. I mean, other things to talk about really quick before we go over to the other game in this game. Arsenal did like the thing that people will rep Arsenal with tonight is that, look, okay, you parked the bus merchants. That's what the salty people are going to say. Okay. Arsenal played a very good first leg. Why would Arsenal do anything differently tonight than the way they played the game? They executed the game plan to perfection. And people, for some reason, they seem to forget that it is so easy to stay this disciplined and defend. It's why you saw Saliba make the mistake that he made. And that was even when they were trying to build out. Arsenal's discipline and grit to get this win shows you how bad this team really wanted to win this game. It's not easy to suffer like that. It's very, very, very challenging. I worry a little bit for them because the team they're facing next is significantly better than Real Madrid. And again, closing thoughts. I don't know. I think maybe, it looks like Ancelotti is maybe leaving. The tactics that he's given this team, they're not working. The tactics that this Real Madrid team has, it's not being executed well. I think they looked way better last season. There's no surprise there. For me, over the two legs, the Declan Rice is the MVP. Vinny ghosted, Mbappe ghosted. I mean, as I said earlier in this video, for Real Madrid to say you have Jude Bellingham, Vinny, Mbappe, Rodrigo, Valverde, and your game plan is cross and pray against this Arsenal team, something is wrong. The tactics are wrong. The players understanding each other, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. I mean, maybe they got to the situation where I'm watching this game and they have nothing open, so they just cross and pray. It damn seemed that way. But look, over two legs, the performance we saw from Real Madrid was absolutely terrible. And look, I said this again in the video. It's not that surprising because this team has put in a lot of performances like this season. And that is why we've been more, not supportive, but maybe thinking Barca's going to do more overall in the league this season because the convincingness of the Real Madrid season has not been good. It's just not. It's been bad. So, too much ISO ball. Again, the memes are going to be crazy because a lot of these Real Madrid players were yapping a lot, man, before this game. And for them to go out and do all these rituals and for it to go this bad today, I mean, they got cooked. They got cooked in the second leg. It wasn't even like I predicted, which was 2 or 3-1 Madrid, and it was this close, but Arsenal do enough. Arsenal's advancing with a 4-goal margin, bro, against Real Madrid. And if it wasn't for Courtois, it would have been more. So let's just close the chapter there. Is it too early to say every era comes to an end with Real Madrid? Is it too early? Because the pieces that are starting to move on in age were massive pieces to this decade run this team had, this crazy run. Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, these GOATs in the midfield are, moving on. So, is this going to be the same going forward? I'm not so sure. I'm not convinced this season at all. Something really needs to change with Real Madrid next season. I don't know what needs to change. Let's talk about this match real quick. Inter worried me again today a little bit because I felt like they kept this game just a little too close. I was really impressed that Kane, obviously, knockout match, big game, scored a nice goal. Dyer had a beautiful header. It was amazing. Inter struck twice as Bayern leveled it, which was disappointing. But look, Bayern controlled a lot of the two-leg against Inter, and this is just how Inter get it done. They will find a way to execute. They did just enough today. They will go ahead and play Barca. When I look at these two teams today, I feel a little bit for Bayern because I felt like Bayern did go out and do really well for the season they've had over two legs, but they fell just short. And look, it really feels like Musiala might have been the difference for Bayern. Really, he might have been. Muller had a close chance at the end. Kane had like a side volley. He just missed at the end, but Inter advanced. So the way it's going to be going forward, this is who we got. These are the final four. And you know what? When I look at the round of 8, when I look at it, the only team that I actually like, and this sounds stupid, but I actually would want to see Villa play Barca in a way or something of that format instead of Inter because, I just don't know. I don't think Inter is going to beat Barca. I don't think it's possible. The one thing I will say is if you're a Barca fan, I actually think you probably wanted to see Bayern because Bayern are not as good defensively as Inter and they play a higher line. Whereas I just expect Inter is going to be parking that shit. But we will see because Barca, they have got a lot of teams pinned. But the last game was a little worrying because, they got to come with some different energy. But, Yeah, in terms of prediction, that Arsenal PSG game, we're gonna have to think about it because it's gonna be really close. I think that game is gonna be really close, and the semifinals this year are looking very good. I said before this whole round that I was looking for a Barca PSG final. It's still on. Is it gonna happen? I guess we will see. Congrats to the Arsenal fans who watched this video today. You guys deserve it. You made Real Madrid look horrible. You made them look horrible, which is just look. You look at the rest of the season now. Who cares what happens in the Prem? Like you got everything to play for here. Hopefully the players can continue to execute in the way they did, and I guess we will see what happens. But that's gonna be the video for today, guys. Man, so disappointing from Real Madrid. So disappointing. It's been the whole season this way. It's just been so shocking from them all year. I don't even know. I can't even sit here and tell you the suggestion that I think they should do. I don't know what's the steps forward for them. I don't know. We hold this club to the highest standard of greatness. They're the best club of all time. They're the most winning club in history. But something has to change moving forward. They're gonna need to adapt. And I don't think it's necessarily out of the realm for them to be making some crazy changes heading into next season, regardless of what happens in the rest of the season this year. Regardless of what happens, I'm not sold on this team, even if they do end up winning Copa del Rey and they do get the league. I just think that something is really missing in the attacking chemistry and generally in the midfield. If I speak even about the defense, they're conceding pretty much every game. Anyways, until next time, peace.